Hello and welcome to Agroriches TV, and today we are privileged to be having one prominent person in the agribusiness sector to discuss about issues in the agribusiness sector. And as I said, we always bring you comprehensive news reports here on Agroriches, and then also today, very privileged, I call him the agribusiness man. I don't know how you call him, but at the end of this show, I think that you would also have something special about him. His profile is very impressive, and I must say that he's really doing well in the agribusiness sector. Currently, he's the General Manager of the Agribusiness Division here at the Agricultural Development Bank, and we are going to have an exclusive interview with him generally in the agribusiness sector. He is called Mr. Kwame Asiedu Attrams. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so looking at the success stories of ADB, and I see you as one key person who has actually made this come so far. So can you tell us some of the success stories of Agricultural Development Bank here in Ghana?
Okay, thank you very much. So ADB, as you know, was set up in 1965. And it was set up to help promote the development of agriculture in Ghana. ADB, since its inception, has applied various modes of financing to help contribute to the development of the various sectors in Ghana. We've partnered with various institutions, various development finance institutions, international and both local, with government. And we have invested heavily into helping developing such sectors as the mango sector, at some point the rice sector, the coconut sector. We have done quite a bit in the poultry and livestock and so on. And over time, we have come to the point where now we believe the best way to finance the agricultural sector is to use the value chain approach.
Okay.
So the value chain approach is what we are currently using in financing the sector. The value chain approach is a very simple one. It looks at the entire spectrum from primary production to the tertiary end onto the market. And we look at each of the subsectors and identify where the weakest link is. And then we provide financing, all with a view on who the off-taker is. Because it is very essential in financing any agricultural venture or agribusinesses for that matter, that you have sight of who the off-taker is. It is the off-taker that provides the source of revenue or income that the bank would fall on as its means of repayment.
Looking at the off-taker, okay, so the off-taker is very important in the entire value chain. How has it been with respect to the ready markets? Because there are, let's say, when there is production needs to be high for the off-takers to also meet the global demand. Because when you take companies like Tias, who deals in cassava starch, they would have to get some requirements of this starch to export on the international market. So what is the contribution or what is the commitment of the local producers in the entire value chain?
Okay, so when we look at the cassava value chain, we're looking at the producers who are the farmers, we're looking at the processors, and then we're looking at the off-takers, right? And the off-takers could be the aggregator, or it could be the producer or the manufacturer, or the people who buy the raw cassava to process. And it could as well be a pharmaceutical company or confectionery company that buys from these processes to add value for the final consumer. Right. Yes. So in each of these sectors or subsectors that we have identified, you would want to look at what their critical need is. Right. The primary producer, you look at what his requirement is to be able to feed the manufacturer or the processor. Right. He may require working capital to be able to grow the cassava and supply to the processor. The processor too may require some support either in working capital or in capex or capital expenditure. The working capital may be required to purchase the raw cassava from the farmer to process. He may also require some capital expenditure capex to be able to purchase either equipment to be able to process some more or improve upon their equipment or their capacity to process more efficiently. Right. For all these different actors, we have facilities that support their need. Right. And this is where TIAST comes in. TIAST is a manufacturer of equipment that is specialized in the processing of cassava, from the cassava, raw cassava to cassava starch, various forms of it. Right. TIAST, as we have known in our relationship with supporting this purchase and usage of the equipment, also serves as an off-taker of a sort, who also is well placed because of their links with the market network to be able to also facilitate the off-taking and selling of the processed cassava. So that is where that partnership has been. Yes, and as I indicated to you earlier at the very beginning of this conversation, it is very critical in financing that even as you provide the support, you also know what means the borrowers have to be able to earn income and repay that facility you've advanced to them.
All right, so this brings us to the concept of industrialization. That is building more factories and then using machinery and technology to advance the agriculture sector. And that's where TIAST and then other companies also comes in. So what are some of the opportunities that industrialization brings us as a country?
Okay, thank you very much. Industrialization is key for the development of any country. And that is why under this present government, we have this industrialization drive under the 1D, 1F concept. And that is what is also facilitating the setting up of factories and establishments that are into value addition. In the cassava value chain, for example, we have supported a number of 1D, 1F companies that have gone into the processing of cassava because there is a huge market opportunity out there for cassava starch.
So, let's come back to ADB. So let's look at ADB as a whole. What is the core purpose? Because we have the National Investment Bank, that's the GTB, and then we have other banks as well. But then Agricultural Development Bank. Why Agric?
Right. So ADB as set up today is a universal bank. And that is a very important thing for everybody to note. it is not so much just the Agricultural Development Bank that was set up initially as, but currently it is a universal bank, which means it is licensed to be able to support every other sector of the economy, including agriculture. But we say that we have a focus on financing agriculture, even as a universal bank. So the bank itself has been given the strategic target by the board to ensure that in the next 2 to 3 years, 50% of our lending is into agriculture. Because even though we're a universal bank, we identify and note that the agricultural sector is a very critical sector of our economy.
There are some farmers who, by chance, may not be able to get the equity. So let's say I want a funding for a project in Agric. I don't have that equity. Is there any plan that ADBs has adopted to help that particular person? The person has a project, he has a plan, the history, but then maybe on that instance, the person can't provide that equity, maybe 10% or 20% to finance that project. Is there any plan that ADB has put in place to cure that?
So it is important to note that for businesses, you don't always have to take loans for your expansion or your growth. Correctly, in developing any business, there are basically 2 types of funding. There is the debt financing and there's the equity financing. Equity financing comes in the form of family and friends helping support your business. And at some point in the stage of a business, especially at the very beginning, what a business requires is not debt financing, which banks provide. It is easier to grow and establish that beautiful idea you have on equity financing. In a properly established economy, things like equity financing through venture capital funding, through crowdfunding, through angel investors. Angel investors basically are like these very well-to-do individuals who have excess funding and would want to use part of that excess in supporting new businesses to establish. Right. Today there are various associations or establishments of that kind who are available to lend that support. And the good thing about equity financing is that they would go into your business with you, handhold you, take part of your management sometimes, and then where you make profits, they share the profits. If you make losses, it's part of the game. But it allows the businesses, therefore, to be able to develop their craft, develop their management and skill in that particular type of business. Now, when they've established and they know the ins and outs of the business, then they can boldly now move on to take debt. Because when the bank has come in, the bank just gives you the money, would not teach you what to do, as in do this, do that, which fortunately though we do. We provide advisory services. So there are lots of even startups that come to us and we help them sometimes with their business plan development and so on, and also give them ideas as to how to manage their finances, even as we support them. So that is the good thing that we provide as pro bono, because you know that ADB is the only commercial bank in Ghana today with the largest group of agricultural professionals. Because of how we were set up, almost every agri professional back in the day began with ADB. I, for example, am an animal scientist. I joined the bank in 2004 on their broiler project. In-house, we have agronomists, we have other crop scientists, we have those that are into agri-economy and so on, who together share ideas in managing and financing these projects that we finance. Right, that is the benefits that we have. That is why we don't give you money today and start charging you, expecting you to pay tomorrow. When you are into, let's say, pineapple production, because we don't. That different crops, different types of livestock and animals have different production cycles. Right? Yeah. Pineapple will take about 12 to 14 months to start fruiting. Right? And so you don't give a pineapple farmer a facility today and say pay tomorrow. Yeah. But some people unfortunately go to various other places. They're into maize farming, and then they take facilities. 1 month they are expected to start paying. No, it doesn't happen. But we do it according to the type of project you are into. And so where required, we give you the necessary number of months or period of time as a period of moratorium to allow you time for you to go through what you call the gestation period. And then when your crops or animals are ready now to produce, we tie the repayment to the period of production.
Well, thank you very much for having this interview with us. And then it has really been inspiring with Mr. Kwame Asiedu Attrams here at the Agricultural Development Bank. We want to say thank you very much for hosting us here at the ADB, and we wish you a lot of goodwill in whatever you do. Thank you.